Okay. All right. Okay. See you and hear you. So the floor is yours. 8 minutes.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. I want to thank the Michigan Conservative Union for asking me to participate today in the workshop, especially you, Linda. I know how hard it is to put on events like this. It's a ton of work. I also wanted to mention that in 2015, I actually ran as co-chair for the Michigan Republican Party with Norm Hughes. So I just want to mention that I really appreciated his confidence in asking me to run with him then. So may he rest in peace. Earlier speakers have talked about election integrity, and it seems like everyday citizens, we might feel like we have our hands tied and we don't know what we can actually do. And is there something that we can do to help? You know, it just seems like this is in Congress and this is in the legislature, and we're just sitting here feeling like we're victims. Well, I want to let you know that there definitely is something that we can do, and I'm going to share a very personal perspective on voter cheating in Michigan's most populated county, and that's Wayne County. Senator Kobach talked about the disturbing recount in Wayne. My story is actually about Election Day. Well, actually, it starts the day before election. And this was 2016. I'm one of the founding members of Michigan Conservative Coalition. And in August of 2016, we opened a Trump office in Walled Lake in Oakland County. And we did it with all of our own resources. It's because we just felt very passionate about helping Donald Trump win Michigan. We worked closely with Scott Hagerstrom. If you'll remember, at that time, he was the state director. And he relied on us to provide many of the volunteers those last 2 weeks of the campaign there in 2016. I don't know if you recall, were so crazy. It's like Donald Trump was in like every few days. His family was in visiting, and we provided a lot of volunteers through our office to help man those rallies and help, you know, with security in a sense when the family members came in. Well, I remember on Monday, November 6th of 2016, I was in the office and we were all going out the door to actually go to an event and help with Don Jr. was coming in. And I am what my husband calls a bad leaver. So by a bad leaver, I mean, I was the last person to leave the office, and boy, did I pay for it that day. We got a call asking if we could provide volunteers to oversee absentee ballots being counted at the TCF Center, which at that time was Cobo Hall. And I was like, yes, what's going on there? I was new to this type of area of election. And so I was kind of surprised. Actually, I was shocked to hear that in the basement of Cobo Hall, they would be counting 65,000 ballots. And they hadn't had any Republican volunteers that were going to oversee this critical process. So that was really scary to me. For the next 12 hours, anyone that came into the office was asked to contact hundreds of anyone that had come through our office doors, and we had the contact information. It was call them, find out if they're willing to go down to Cobo Hall. This is what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to absentee vote themselves immediately today. They're going to have to get up at 5 in the morning and carpool with total strangers to get down to Cobo Hall by 7 in the morning. At that time, I couldn't tell them whether there'd be any food there. So we told them to take food, take a chair. We don't even know if there's going to be a chair provided for you. We knew they couldn't take their cell phones, and they had to be prepared to stay to as late as midnight. Thankfully, 28 men and women were willing to take up this challenge of protecting the vote for the presidential election the next day. I call these wonderful people the Cobo Hall Warriors. And they were all so excited to have played such a critical part in such a historic election. Little did they know. A couple of these poll challengers later came and relayed their story and their experiences, and they really understood what a significant role they played. Michigan narrowly, as Brian Pennebaker mentioned, won the state by only 10,704 votes, and they oversaw 65,000 ballots. Now, of course, they told us what it is that they had seen down there. And of course, you know, that is why I've become so passionate about this issue. They saw many absentee ballots being illegally duplicated by poll workers. And what I mean by that is poll workers, if a ballot won't go through the machine, they put it in a bin and then they go back to it later and they duplicate it. But you're supposed to have a Republican and you're supposed to have a Democrat overseeing this process and agreeing that that is what the voter intended. That wasn't happening. On many cases, a poll worker would just sit there and fill out the ballot all on their own, how they perceived the voter wanted to vote, or they could even be filling it in with how they wanted the vote to be. We saw many voting machines left unlocked, ballots piling up on tables that could have been grabbed and ran through again. One thing that I saw that I thought was so interesting is that every ballot is completely filled out. In 2018, down at Cobo Hall, there were 81 choices on a ballot, and everyone had a choice. Everyone was filled out. It's almost like they laid a stencil over the ballot and then just, you know, filled it all out that way. They could be doing this. We just saw with our own eyes how easily the vote can be corrupted in Democrat-dominated communities without any oversight. Now let's fast forward to 2020. And we know the Democrats never want to waste a good crisis. They're loving the opportunity to get the public to accept 100% absentee ballots for the next election. We've seen it. We know, you know, after the Russian collusion hoax and the phony impeachment effort, you know, they're trying everything to get Donald Trump removed from office. And the next thing that they're going to have to really push is this 100% absentee ballot count. Can you imagine, just, you know, as a note of motivation, can you imagine this COVID-19 crisis being handled by Hillary Clinton? She would still have our borders wide open to China. This is what we need. I'm going to propose this is what we need to help from a citizen's point of view on what we can do to help ensure our elections. Because we know that the law that was passed in 2018, we already expect to see at least 100,000 absentee ballots being counted in Wayne County. So we need more people just from that aspect, that we know that the absentee ballot count is going to go up so much more. Now, if we get 100% absentee ballots, we are going to need hundreds and hundreds of poll challengers for Wayne County, and not just at the TCF, formerly Cobo Hall. I've talked to quite a few township clerks and former clerks, and other people have been active in election day operations, and they confirm that there are many ways to cheat, especially with absentee ballots. And we can only hope to minimize some of those ways. And in the case of 2016, perhaps we minimized it, that little bit amount that allowed Donald Trump to win Michigan. Now, we have seen the president's, and in his press conferences, he's laying the groundwork. He is starting to warn us about the dangers, because he knows this is what the Democrats are doing. They're starting to really promote the 100% absentee ballots. And I believe that if we have one case of COVID-19 in the fall, the Democrats are going to explode with we need to have 100% absentee ballots in order to protect the population. If we ever go there, it'll be the end of our republic. But here's what we can do. You can help to actually protect the vote, and this is what you can do to do that. You can become a poll challenger for Wayne County, just as those 28 Cobo Warriors did. Training is simple. It only takes about an hour. There's going to be many ways to take it. We'll be taking it online, or there'll be in-person classes. We need an army. We have a lofty goal. You can see in 2016, there were about 150 counting boards at Cobo Hall. Every counting board covers 3 to 5 precincts in Detroit. Do we have that slide up, Chris? We know the number of counting boards will increase. It'll possibly double. We'll need 2 people for each counting board. So do the math. That's about 500 to 600 people to properly have coverage there.
Marian?
Yes.
Which slide did you want?
The Cobo Hall slide.
Sure. I'll do that again.
Okay, thank you. I think it's rather startling when you walk in and you see this room that's the size of a football field filled with these counting stations. The other thing I'm proposing is that we need startup and exit teams. The clerks I've talked to say we need to first off make sure that the voting machines start at 0, right? They have to be at 0. We don't want to start and have a voting machine that already has more votes for Joe Biden. And it's a real possibility. The clerks I've talked to feel, you know, and this makes sense to me, that it's a real possibility that precincts are forging signatures and filling out ballots after the polls close. So how they would do this is they'd see if the polls close at 800 votes have come through, they can lock the doors and look to see who hasn't voted yet and forge their signature and continue the vote up to 900 or 1,000. And if they did that in every precinct, they would gain thousands of votes. So we're also looking them for exit teams. And these will be people that will visit the polls at the end of the day, that's at 8 o'clock, and just ask for a copy of the election tape when the poll closes at 8. 600 precincts in Detroit, 2 on each team, means 1,200 people just for that effort. I want to also encourage people to become poll workers or poll inspectors in Detroit. With this position, you get trained at the clerk's office. In February, I sat through a poll training in Detroit with the Wayne County's clerk's office. I was surprised to learn that a person 16 years of age and older can be a poll watcher. These are children at 16, and they're supposed, every counting board is supposed to have 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. And in Detroit, they never have Republicans. They're always very short of workers, and there certainly aren't any Republicans working as poll workers. You actually get paid for this day's work. As I remember it, it's $250 without any taxes taken out. And it would be great if we could have Republicans in the Wayne County precincts as poll workers, along with others being poll challengers. It's something we just have to do. It's so important. We need to get all this in place for a dress rehearsal in August. In August, for the primary, we got to know that everything works. So you'll be issued your poll challenging credentials, and you'll be allowed into the counting board room or the poll. The bottom line is we need lots of volunteers, hundreds of volunteers. I was one of the organizers of Operation Gridlock in Lansing through the Michigan Conservative Coalition last Wednesday. 25 people showed up there Why? To defend their rights. So we know the people are out there. And if they see a threat to our liberty, they really need to step up. And you people on this call are the frontline people who you do get it. You do get it. I already have 300 volunteers signed up for November 7th. That date's not right. So to be a part of this critical effort to protect the president in 2020, please sign up to be a poll challenger or sign up to be a poll worker. For more information on this, you can call me at 248-225-1846, or I think MCU is willing, if you give them the information. Chris, are you having a poll afterwards? Are you doing a poll, Chris?
There's an interest survey that people can fill out during this workshop and submit the information, and MCU will get them to the right place. So if they specify your activity, they'll get them to you.
Okay, excellent. So please step up. It's critical, and MCU will get that information onto me, and I'll put you into on the list of people that are going to be receiving information and directions. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Marian.